Yes, guys, hope everyone is good. Right, this video is very, very personal. It's very important to me, probably more than any other video. I love doing analysis, I love doing tactics, but for me, football is about people, and it's about getting the best out of people, allowing the easiest way or the best way to get players to develop into the best player and person they can. So that's why I'm going to talk about Brendan Aaronson. There was an article by Aaronson today. We had a little interview with Aaronson, and Aaronson said some things in there. And I thought, okay, good, honest things. Good to see from professional footballers. Talking about psychologists, talking about how difficult it was to adapt, talking about how he was stressed under Jesse Marsh, how Javi's helped him out, how frustrated he was, how he was obsessed with goals and assists, and it took him off his prime focus on the team. Interesting, good stuff, you should read it. And then I looked at the comments, stupidly, and I couldn't believe how outdated and how crazy some people think about football. And I've been quiet about the Aaronson stuff because I see it, and of course there's reason behind it, but this is just my opinion. We'll get into that right now. So the main problem for me is this whole Aaronson needs to go to the gym, Aaronson needs to get bigger. I don't agree in the slightest. Genuinely do not agree. I don't agree. At all. A player's weight is only an issue if they're not performing well. And it's so many attributes. We've seen in so many different ways a human looks or is. The issue becomes that when they're not playing well. Whatever that issue is. Whether it's the height or anything else. The issue becomes the issue when they're not playing well. You can look at a player like Matoma. Same weight, 2 or 3 kilograms difference. Same height according to 3 or 4 sources. Got 11, 12 goal involvements in the Premier League. 25 years old. Now, I look at a player like that and think, oh, well, you don't have to be bigger to play in the Premier League then. Matoma is an excellent player, but for me, he doesn't excel in any way. He's just very effective in what he does. He's not especially quick. He's got decent skills. We know Aaronson, we've seen it. Where he dribbles past 3 or 4 players. He's got very good technical ability in terms of dribbling and moving with the ball. And I look at a player like Matoma, who's now 25, with similar structure to Aaronson. And I think no one's talking about his height or weight because he's performing. Now, if he didn't, they would. And I get it, and the whole rhetoric that he goes down too easily, that isn't based on his weight or size. That's based on his mindset. He spoke about in this article, Baron Cross, about how he was obsessed with trying to get goals and assists, and it was too much of a focus for him. And it made you think maybe he got overwhelmed by that fact. So now when he goes into these tackles, when he goes into these 50-50s where he's got the ball, his first initial thing is to get out of being in a position where he has to get a goal or assist. So how does he do that? Win a free kick. And it comes to a point where you're trying to win free kicks too much because you are worried about the outcome of if you will score a goal. Right? And players do it. It's the easy way out. And that's the whole mentality thing. And he talked about seeing a psychologist, which I think will do him great. And it's the comments which are interesting. Someone talked about Wilco and how Wilco said you should never see a shrink. And that's a weak mentality. That is so old, guys. Forget about that. You should. If it helps you out, do it. It's not for everyone. But the fact that saying it's a weak mentality is so untrue. Some of the most elite athletes in the world see psychologists. They rely on them. They need them. Because it's good to speak to someone. So that whole rhetoric there, if anyone thinks like that watching this video, don't. It's so outdated. Psychologists are vital in sports these days for mental health. Not even in sports, in the world. Just having someone to speak to. And that's a big part of what I want to do in my journey. I want to be there for players to speak to. If they have a problem. Not necessarily about, more performance-based, but how that can help you then understand who you are and what you can do to be better, right? So I saw that comment and it just made me think, oh, this is a bit silly now. And I saw the comments going down. And he's talking here, he's getting really personal about his personal mental health, seeing someone about that, how he was stressed at the World Cup, how he was tired. And I saw someone saying, like, the usual stuff, you need to stop going down so much, you need to carry up, get up more, get bigger, get stronger. He's not that guy. That's not him. And you don't need that to be in the Premier League. It's a mentality thing. And you know what else it is? And this is so basic. Body positioning. 3 or 4 times I see him get knocked off the ball, right? All he needs to do is understand when that contact is coming and get his body in front of the ball. We've seen it. Raheem Sterling was never big until about 2 or 3 years ago when he got a bit more muscle on. Was never big. Look at his first years at City and his early years at Liverpool. Tiny guy. But what was he good at? Getting his body. And he'd win fouls because he'd get his body in front of the ball. Get his body in front of the ball. And you can look at people like Rutter, who's a lot taller than Aaronson and probably weighs a lot more. Not the biggest guy, but, you know, fairly bigger than Aaronson. Goes down like that. I can think of so many different players that go down like that. But they don't get criticised because they're doing well, right? The players that are not doing well do. And then suddenly you look at Aaronson, little guy, weight, needs to go gym. No, he doesn't. And I go back to Matoma. We're so quick to give up on players at this club, and it frustrates me because I get it because we're in a bad position. We need them to perform now. But they're also humans. And he's come into this country and he's trying to adapt to another coach now. He's trying to adapt his mentality to elite. You know, to play in Austria is a good thing. He's done well to get there. Most people can't. But then that step up to the Premier League mentally is completely different. Everything's quicker. You have to adapt. Everything has more pressure on it. Everything has more emphasis on it. And he's now in a position where he's just got to focus on doing the simple things he can do right. Honing into his dribbling skills. Honing into his transition skills. Because he's got it. He's got a burst of pace. He's got the little things he needs to be a good player. It's just the consistency and the output that he needs to improve. The consistency of the output. You know? It's nothing to do with his weight. There's no evidence or proof other than you seeing him go on the ground that he's not strong enough. I see Lewis Dunk 2 or 3 times a game go on the ground. Is he not strong enough? No. But because he's not small, people are not seeing it as, oh, he's getting knocked down because he's weak. He's getting knocked down because he wants to win a foul. Like, we can't just look at players going down and say it's because he's weak. It's not true. And I've had that in my career so much. Well, before I retired. You know, and I haven't played in the Premier League, but I played at decent level where everyone is bigger than me. Everyone. I'm the smallest there. I've been the youngest there. And physicality was never an issue, and I am tiny. And I always have been. I probably weigh similar to Aaronson, and I'm probably the same height. Similar attributes, obviously not as good, but you know what I mean. And I constantly get coaches at places I was at saying, you're not big enough. For what? I'm not a centre-back. I'm not a central midfielder. You can look at 10s and wingers in the Premier League, and they're all small technical players. The difference is they're getting more output than Aaronson, and that is the problem, his output. And, you know, just go back to me, like, it's so frustrating as a player when people look at you and they make comments about how much you weigh and how much you are, like, you've got to go gym. Just because you're bigger than me, you think you have the authority to say that. That's BS. I'm quicker than you, you know? I can dribble more than you. I can dribble better than you. You know, 1v1, mate, I'll run past you. There's different attributes to players. And there's this whole thing about, you don't see footballers get big quickly. And that's because it causes a lot of injury. Your body is based on you, right? Footballers working out all the time. It's hard for them to gain weight. You can gain muscle, but then this comes with injury. Okay? You've seen it with players. Neymar, for example, is one of them. He got bigger throughout his career, and as his career progressed, he had more and more injuries. Come on. It's hard for a player to change that. And also, it might change many things in the player. It might affect his dribbling, it might affect his speed, it might affect his turning, it might affect his balance. There's so many different things you can attribute to weight. Aaronsons, The good things about Aaronson rely on him being slight, rely on him being small. Because he's not the shortest person. If he was like maybe 5'6", 7", like Nyonto, for example, he could get a bit bigger. Because it wouldn't affect his speed. It'd make him more powerful. It'd make him more quicker off the turn. But he's not. He's a little bit taller than that. So at that height, if you gain weight, it will affect his performance, his agility, his balance, his, reactions. It will affect that. Now, and it's just annoying to me because we give up so quick saying he's a waste of money and that he's got a weak mentality. I just disagree. What I do agree on is his output isn't good enough. But I think he obviously knows that. He talks about Javi. Javi sees what I'm trying to do and he knows, everybody knows, goals and assists come. And he said it's meant like a roller coaster. Right now, he's down here, but he's getting up there. Now, and you remember how young he is as well. Like, I don't know. I just think it's so easy to see someone fall on the ground and then say he needs to go to the gym and use it as a constant thing that he's not big enough to play in the Premier League. He has clear ability. We saw that in the first 7 or 8 games of the season where his size suddenly wasn't an issue. It wasn't, was it? But now it is. He's not got any smaller. Aaronson's ability and Aaronson's technical skills are what need to be defined, not his weight. He could become a great player the way he is. If he gets a bigger weight, it's not going to make him a better player. It just isn't. It's just not. He needs to work on his product, end product, and overall assists contributions or goal contributions, right? Because the problem with Aaronson is that. Also little things like just knowing when that contact's going to come, knowing how to place your body in front of the defender, so he has to go through the back of you and not through the side because he won't win a through kick in the Premier League. That's what he has to work on. And I'm sure that's what he's working on every day. He's seeing someone to help with his mentality, right? And he's now obviously going to work as a footballer to have the mentality to kind of adapt to the Premier League, to get assists and goals, right? So that's what I want. That's basically the premise of this, because I just found it interesting, the comments just about how bad that they're seeing a shrink, and he talked about the goal at halftime and how that affected their performance against Crystal Palace. People saying that shows a weak mentality. It doesn't. It shows a fragile mentality. It's not a weak one. Fragile means when it's good, they're fine. We know that. When we're confident, we're good. But it's fragile. Something can break it. That's not weak. It's different. We don't go into games thinking we're going to lose, do we? We look fine at points. We look like we could get something. But it's when a trigger happens, it goes down. Because that's the weight of Ellen Road, the weight of the fans, the weight of the club, the weight of staying in the Premier League just hits you. Like he said in this article, you can be dominating a game and then suddenly they have one chance and it's scored. You're suddenly like, what is going on here? You question everything. You question yourself. You question the team. You question the tactics. When in reality, you just need to question, okay, let's get another goal. Let's just keep doing what we're doing and the patterns show that we will win the game, right? So I don't know. It's an interesting thing for me. But let me just summarise it by saying this. His weight is not an issue. What he needs to work on is allowing his weight and allowing his body the way he is, quick, nimble, good dribbler, good progressor. Yeah, they're his attributes. So he now needs to work with the coach and himself who build on those attributes and make them better, right? That's what someone like Matoma has done, is excelling in those attributes in the Premier League, right? Someone like Sterling did. He excelled on what he was good at. And that was his speed. He worked on that. His positioning got much better. Sterling's still not the best technical player. He's not the best dribbler. He's not even the best dribbler. He's worked on getting in the right positions at the right times as well. Tap-ins. Drawing a man. 1-2s. These are little things that he's worked on. David Silva is a great example of a small player. He worked on his technical ability and he got better and better as he got older. Aaronson's young. Look at someone like Matoma who's 25. If Aaron can progress, He'll be a player just like that. Maybe better at that age in 3 or 4 years. There's no... I look at Mahrez as well. Worked on his ability. Very good, skillful, very skillful. Not the quickest, and he's not a very quick winger. Goes down extremely easy. But again, Mahrez is good at getting his body in front of the defender. He has to work. Aaronson has to work on what he's good at, and he has to hone them skills and improve his product and end product. That is it. He does not have to go to the gym. And anyone in the comments that says he does, I'm sorry, I disagree with you. Because I've been in that position. I'm older than you think. I've seen many players in that position, and once they work on what they're good at, weight is suddenly not an issue, and it isn't. It just isn't. There's no evidence that weight is an issue in the Premier League, other than you seeing him on the ground once or twice and he gets pushed down too easy. He chooses to go down. That's his choice. He's not getting pushed down. He's choosing it. Believe me. Maybe once or twice he gets shouldered off the ball. I've seen that happen to Rocker. Like, come on. Let's not be silly here. But yeah. Passionate video. I'm passionate about this stuff, alright? Because a player's ability is not based on his weight, ever. Look, unless, you need to lose some. But professional footballers don't. We're talking about the elite here. He's got to the elite because of the way he is, and he's not going to change that drastically. He might get a little bit more in his chest, a little bit more upper body to allow him to hold the ball a bit better. Maybe, that's fine. But he doesn't have to. He has to work on his end product and the things he's good at. And that's all I'm saying. I'm blabbering. Let me know what you guys think.